Chat, there's a new league, and I think it's time we start taking this seriously. So I don't know how much you know. Project B is a new league that everyone assumed was funded by the Saudis or Saudi Arabia. I don't know how to say it, but that was an assumption that was funded by them. Now they've come out and say, no, we're not funding it, or we're not making profit off of it, but we may put some money into it. A lot of things like that going on. And I've kind of just stayed away over the last couple weeks, and I was like, who knows how serious this is going to be. I remember there was rumors that Candace Parker would be involved and things of that nature. And I was just like, call me when you guys start actually getting players to commit to whatever this extravagant league is. And we're at that point. They've signed 2 All-Stars. They originally signed NECA, who is the president of the WNBA Players Association. She's the president. And now they just signed Alyssa Thomas. So it's starting to let me know this is going to be something serious, and we might need to start having conversations about it. Again, I haven't jumped too deep into that water yet, but I do know that I'm hearing that the low end of their contracts are going to be in like the $2 million type of range. And I've been seeing that. I've been watching some YouTube videos and seeing some clips and some articles about this league. And again, I was just at the point where it was like, okay, it sounds good. They were saying the same thing about the NBA 6 months ago, and that quote unquote new league died off. So why do I need to focus too much on this? But it's starting to sound like this might be something to look into. Especially again, we're getting players to fully commit. Like I said, Candace Parker is a part of the investment team, and they just signed a former WNBA player to be, I think, the head of the women's basketball side of this league, this organization. So we might need to start really thinking about, is this something that is going to make a big difference in the industry of the women's basketball game community? Is this really going to be something that's going to take over? So again, I'm getting a lot of my knowledge just by watching a lot of people's other videos. My boy HD, Key Facts. I even watched Mick talk about it. There's a lot of people talking about this, and that's why I started gathering it, because I just didn't know if this was going to be for real. But now that I'm starting to see players sign, now it's time for us to really start diving in and seeing what this is and why are people going to this new league. And to me, it makes sense, especially with the type of players they've already signed, like the president. That's what people call the president. And then AT. If you sign AT, you're probably going to get her partner, DB. So I know they mentioned they have eight top players that's already committed to come play in this league. And I think we can kind of eliminate 3 of them. The Madam President is there, DB and AT. That's probably 3 of the 8, the top 8 they already have committed to playing over there. So this is something that we're going to have to cover, and I don't mind covering anything like that, but I just didn't know it was serious. So now that we know it's serious, we got to jump into it. Now, I don't see a problem with this league. One, it operates along the same timeline as Unrivaled, so this might be a problem for Unrivaled. So yeah, I see that, and I think this new league is probably saying, if we're going to compete with one of the 2 leagues, let's compete with Unrivaled. We have a bigger backing than them. We might be able to get them out the paint. Let's knock them out the way. Let's not compete with the WNBA. Let's compete with the new startup league, because it sounds like they have more funding than Unrivaled. So if we can flex money to these players, we can probably snatch up all these players away from doing 3-on-3 in Miami. On the player side, some players don't want to go overseas. Some players want to know they got a game on Saturday, so they might spend Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday back in New Orleans with their family before they go back to Florida to play in Unrivaled. So I do think that might be a hurdle. I know Angel, she talked about it in her podcast about how she just really doesn't like to go overseas. She's scared to go overseas. So there's going to be some players that's like, ooh, that big money sounds good, but I don't want to risk my offseason and just be overseas, especially in Saudi Arabia. There's some things that has happened when it comes to women, and then women that choose an alternative lifestyle and things like that. So I don't know if that's going to cause like a little bit of a rift with the W players, but we will see, because the thing about this new league is they're willing to put up big money. And the thing with people like AT and NECA, they played in this league for over 10 years, and they're on the back end. So if I can go get me $2, $3, $4 million for my family, for our future, that's amazing, because the W doesn't provide health care once you leave. The W doesn't have a pension once you leave. So these players, for their financial household, their stability, it might be good for them to go play in this new Project B league. I think that's a weird name, but it might be good for them to go play in this new league so they can do things for their family and for their future. So I can see this league really, really starting to take some older players and then bring in some of the top names. You might see a lot of the Odyssey Sims. She's not old, but she's been around for a minute. You might see the Neckas. You might see the Brittany Grinders. You might see, I don't know about BG. She probably don't want to go overseas, but those type of players. And then you might see a Paige, a Caitlyn, or an Angel, that type of player that's going to make 3 times what these other players are going to make. Let's say Paige. Let's use Paige. Let's say if they offer Paige 10 mil and then Brittany Griner and those caliber players $1 million. I can see that league making sense, because these players are going to go get what they're worth and what they want to be paid. And then the newer players, and then for the older players, they'll get enough money to put some away for their futures, whether they put it into an annuity so they can have money for the rest of their lives, whatever they want to do with it. Because again, the W doesn't provide health care, no pensions, things of that nature. So you can see a world where players are going to start looking at this new league and saying, this might be a better bet than me riding out the W for my last 2 years versus going to this new league, Project B, for the last 2 years and making 1.5, even if you're a role player, 2 million if you're a role player. It might be better for your financial future, because these ladies retire at 36, 35. That's really young outside of sports. So if I can make $2, $3 million at 35 and then say, okay, now I'm going to start my next venture at being a family person, or let me go back to school, or let me use my degree I gathered when I was playing ball. Now let me go start a second career with that degree. It makes sense for players to say, yo, I want to go make this quick money. The good thing about the scheduling is that it does not conflict with the W, but it hits so hard on Unrivaled. So you can't do Unrivaled and you can't do Project B. The thing with that is we don't see Asia Wilson, we don't see Caitlin Clark, and we don't see Angel Reese playing in Unrivaled. So are these players that Project B is going after and saying, don't even go play for the $300,000-$400,000. Come over here to this new league and make you $5, $10, $15 million a year, because those are the players you would pay that type of money to have in your league. I'm not saying all of them are equal or one is less than the other, whatever it is. Those players bring in viewerships, they bring in dollars, they sell out shoes. Real big for when it comes to like marketing and viewerships. And like, if you get the 4, you get everything. You get Paige, Angel, Asia, and Cece. Those 4, if you grab those 4, you get one that can sell out arena. You get one that if you put her picture on a magazine, it's going to go crazy. One, you have the culture. Another one, you have a dominant player. Like, you can cover all these lanes if you grab these 4 players. And it sounds like this league is willing to put the money where their mouth is and grab up all these players. So again, I am just now jumping into it. I kind of didn't want to take this thing serious, but it looks like it's something I'm really, really going to have to look into. So we will go along this journey. Again, I'm just starting it right now. I didn't pull up any clips or anything like that. I'm just starting this journey. Let's go along and see what happens here. So all we know right now is NECA has signed and AT has signed. And in the back of my mind, if AT is going, you know DB is going. So I'm thinking that's one of the elite 8 they have is those 3, but we know for sure 2 of them going. So this is going to be interesting. This gives us something to cover in the off season and see what happens. Again, they're not starting till the next off season. So I'm AJ. This is my mic. Peace.